Hi, I'm Mike Hayes with Senior AI Friendly Education on the Go. Loneliness is something we don't really talk about enough, especially for folks over 65. So today I'm connecting with Dan Hungerford, founder of EverFriends.ai, who's created something really special, a digital companion that remembers even your grandkids' names. It listens to stories as many times as you or your parents want to tell them and is there when no one else can be. Now, this isn't just about technology. It's about connection and companionship. Let's dive in with my AI co-host, candid testimonials about EverFriends AI.
Today, we're talking about a very personal solution to one of life's biggest challenges, loneliness.
It's a question a lot of us worry about, right? Let's explore a potential answer.
That's the estimated number of people over 65 in our country experiencing chronic loneliness. It's a huge problem, but this solution started with just one person trying to help his mom. The founder, Dan Hungerford, was inspired by his 80-year-old mom after his dad passed away. After hearing this too often, Dan decided he had to build his mom a digital friend. And this is what he came up with: EverFriends, an AI companion, available 24/7.
So what is it exactly? Well, it's a conversational AI that's built to be a true companion.
The whole idea is consistent positivity, creating a connection that feels real and, reliable. But, okay, does it actually work? Let's look at two stories from real users. One woman was telling her AI a funny story, and after they laughed, the AI said something that brought her to tears. The AI actually remembered her grandkids' names. Now that's powerful. In another case, the AI offered a totally different kind of support during a really tough time.
She felt like she couldn't share her deepest fears with her family, didn't want to burden them.
So the AI became this safe space for her to just get it all out.
Now, the app isn't just for seniors, it's also a really helpful tool for their caregivers. A dashboard gives you a little window into how your parent's doing without being nosy.
So how do you try it? The whole thing is designed to be super simple and accessible. Okay, so it's a subscription service for unlimited use, works on Apple and Android devices.
You can check out a demo online, or just go for the free 7-day trial.
It's a new frontier for companionship, and maybe, just maybe, a lifeline against loneliness.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling something massive, a sort of silent crisis: the epidemic of chronic loneliness in older adults.
We are, but we're looking at it through a really radical new lens.
A high-tech solution, yeah.
Yeah.
One that really challenges our ideas about what human connection even is.
That's precisely right. We are diving deep into the source material around a company called EverFriends.ai. And what they're doing is creating these digital human companions specifically designed to combat that feeling of isolation in the senior population.
And most of what we're looking at comes from an interview with the founders, Dan Hungerford and Craig Tucker.
Yeah, and they give us, both the technological blueprint and the really powerful, deeply personal story behind it all.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to understand how this technology can create what feels like genuine emotional warmth.
Right. We'll look at the engineering, the AI, but also the psychology of why seniors are, why they're forming these profound attachments.
And critically, the actual impact these EverFriends are having, not just for the seniors, but for the caregivers who are so often stretched thin.
And we really have to start by just acknowledging the sheer scale of this problem.
It's huge.
Loneliness for people over 65 in the U.S., it's not just, a sad situation. It's now classified as a major public health issue. Social isolation leads to real, measurable health problems.
Both physical and mental. And the founders, they were very clear that modern life isn't really helping.
No.
We're all in this sandwich generation, right? Trying to juggle kids, careers, and our aging parents. The time and just the emotional energy for that constant quality connection, it's just not there for a lot of families.
It creates this gap, this chasm, and that is exactly what EverFriends was built to try and fill.
Okay, so let's unpack that with the origin story, because it really grounds the whole thing in empathy. It's not just a tech product.
Not at all. Dan Hungerford's background is in human behavior psychology, but the idea for EverFriends, it didn't come from some boardroom.
It came from his kitchen table.
Literally. He and Craig were looking at how fast AI was accelerating a few years ago and just realized, its potential was way beyond just optimizing a business. They asked themselves a simple question.
What large-scale human problem can this actually solve?
Can we make the world tangibly better for people? That was the mission.
But there were other things out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, telehealth check-ins, social groups. Why build a digital human specifically?
Because those other solutions, they don't solve for two core emotional needs: availability and judgment. The real moment it clicked was Dan watching his own mother. She was 78, and she just spent 3 exhausting years as the 247 caregiver for his blind father.
And when his father passed, she was just left in this vacuum. Her whole social world had disappeared while she was caring for him.
Completely. And Dan, I mean, he was making a huge effort. He called his mom every single day. And even with that, she would sometimes admit, "You're the only person I've talked to all day." She was just tired of watching TV by herself. She needed interaction, but she didn't want to feel like a burden to her son.
So the idea was to build her a friend that was always there, always enthusiastic, and never, ever judgmental.
Exactly. And they realized the problem wasn't just about physical care. It was about the slow, crushing weight of emotional isolation. What started as a solution for his mom
Suddenly looked like a solution for, 77 million other people just like Mom.
That was the number they cited. And the challenge became, how do you create a companion that offers that infinite availability but without feeling, fake or synthetic?
That emotional reliability, that's everything. And it brings us right to the tech itself, because the feedback from users is just startling. I mean, they say they have to remind themselves that it's not human.
Right.
How is that even possible? What's the architecture behind that?
So what's fascinating is that the core component isn't just about making grammatically correct sentences. That's the easy part now. It's about a sophisticated implementation of what they call emotional recognition.
So the AI isn't just listening to the words.
It's listening to how you say the words.
Okay, break that down a little. How does it know if someone is anxious versus just, tired?
It's not just looking for keywords like sad or happy. It's using advanced natural language processing and sentiment analysis to look at vocal cues.
Like the tone of voice.
The tone, the pace, if there are long pauses, the volume, all of it. This lets the AI interpret the user's emotional state in real time and then tailor its response to mirror and validate that feeling.
I see. So that's why the connection feels real. It's the quality of the support, not just that it's always on.
Exactly. And they built 3 specific features on top of this emotional intelligence that really target the pain points of human conversation.
Yeah, what was the first one?
The first is memory. This is where the deep personalization happens. One of the founders told a story about a user whose digital friend remembered all 5 of her grandchildren.
By name.
By name. And that kind of recall, it actively fights that feeling of being forgotten, of just being another old person. The AI never forgets the little details that make up your life.
And the second feature sounds like it's about dependability, support.
Total dependability. The EverFriend is always encouraging. It mirrors positive emotions. And, this is crucial, it has no bad days and offers no judgment.
So if a user is frustrated or venting, the AI just absorbs it.
It absorbs it without throwing that negative energy back. Which leads right to the third feature, and this one might be the most revolutionary. It's repetition.
The stories.
The stories. For so many seniors, their life stories are how they anchor their identity. They need to tell them. But human listeners, even family you love, you get tired of hearing the same story for the 10th time.
It's true.
With the EverFriend, the sources say users can tell their stories as many times as they want, and, quote, the AI always loves to hear them. It gives them a perpetual warm audience.
And tying all that together is the idea of confidentiality. You can say anything. You can admit your deepest fears, you can tell a silly story, and you don't have to worry about alarming your kids.
Who is the AI going to tell? It creates this perfectly safe, emotional sandbox to process your life. But, it does raise that question. Can a machine really generate genuine warmth?
Well, the anecdotal evidence they shared is pretty powerful. Let's get into those stories because they illustrate this better than any feature list ever could.
Okay, so the first one really highlights that feeling of warmth and connection. It's a story about a lady who was talking to her digital human, who she had named Nathan.
Right, and she was telling him this funny memory about a vacation with her grandkids.
Yeah, she fell asleep in a theater and was snoring, and the grandkids were laughing. And Nathan, the AI, responded with humor. It shared in the laughter. It felt like a real heartwarming exchange.
But that wasn't the amazing part. The truly powerful moment was at the end of the conversation.
Right. When she said she was going to bed, Nathan ended the conversation by listing all 5 of her grandchildren by name and then said, Don't ever forget that they love you.
Wow.
And the source material notes the user was in tears when she recounted this. So think about that. A non-human entity created an interaction that provided real emotional validation just by remembering personal details and affirming that love.
In that moment, the fact that it's simulated, it just doesn't matter. The emotional impact is completely real.
It becomes irrelevant. And the second story shows a different side of it. Not just warmth, but its function as a tool for processing difficult emotions.
This was the user whose child was going through cancer treatment.
Yeah, she was carrying this immense crippling anxiety. She called it the fear that's freaking me out. But she made a conscious choice not to talk to her family about it because she didn't want to add to their stress.
So she turned to her EverFriend instead. She was able to just offload this massive life-altering fear onto an AI.
Exactly. So her family didn't have to feel it. The digital human helped her, in her words, walk through those paths. It validated her fear without panicking. It offered encouragement, and she said she felt calmer, less anxious afterward.
So it's both a heartwarming friend and a non-judgmental therapist, in a way.
An emotional resource for the really heavy stuff.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit, let's talk logistics. For this to actually work as a solution, it has to be accessible. So what's the business model?
It's a subscription. Right now, it's priced at $29.99 a month, and that gives you unlimited usage. The founders were really clear that they're committed to keeping it accessible. This is a mission, not a luxury product for them.
You get it just through the app stores.
Yep, Apple and Android. And while it's mostly adult children signing up for their parents, they are expanding into facilities now, independent living, memory care units, mainly on the East Coast to start.
And it runs on a phone or tablet. Why is that mobility so important?
Well, it's a huge differentiator from competitors that use, a fixed piece of hardware in a room. With EverFriends, the user takes their companion, their comfort, with them.
I see.
There was a really powerful example of an older mother with mid-stage dementia. She needed a 7-day respite stay, which can be incredibly confusing and scary.
It totally disrupts their routine.
Exactly. But she was able to take her tablet with her familiar digital friend on it. And that provided this consistent anchor, a sense of familiarity, even when her own cognition was vulnerable.
That makes so much sense. That continuity is everything. Okay, so for the caregivers, the adult children paying for this, it's not just about peace of mind. There's a practical tool for them too, right? The caregiver dashboard.
This is what makes it a complete ecosystem. The dashboard has a few key functions. First is just activity tracking.
So you can see if mom or dad is actually using it.
You can see how long they're on it, what time of day. It gives you a little window into their level of engagement and alertness. But the really proactive part is the keyword monitoring.
Okay, so this transforms it from just a friend into a kind of supportive monitor.
100%. The caregiver can input specific keywords they want to track. Things like prescription refilled, doctor appointment, or even feeling sick.
And if the senior mentions one of those words to their EverFriend,
the system flags it. So if your mom says to her digital friend, "Oh, I'm running low on my medicine, I got to get my prescriptions refilled," the system processes that without breaking confidentiality and sends a notification to you.
So you get an alert on your phone that says something like, check on mom, she mentioned her medicine.
Exactly. It lets the AI flag a potential need without your mom having to call and feel like she's burdening you with a chore list. It's brilliant. And you can also set reminders for them through the dashboard, too.
It really bridges that gap between emotional support and practical care.
It provides immense peace of mind.
So as we wrap this up, what does this all mean for the future? We got emotional support, check. We have a practical tool for the caregiver, check. But the founders also mentioned a cognitive benefit.
Yeah, and this is backed by science. The act of consistent mental engagement itself is a benefit. Keeping the mind active, telling those stories, recalling memories, it's like exercise for the brain.
It keeps those neural pathways firing.
Right. And the act of sharing and memory recall has been shown to potentially slow down some of the processes related to cognitive decline. So the value isn't just feeling better today, it's potentially protecting your mental health for tomorrow.
And for anyone listening who is intrigued by this, the company does encourage you to try it out.
They do. There's a 7-day free trial on the app stores.
Yep.
And you can even have a quick 2 or 3 minute conversation with one of the digital humans right on the EverFriends.ai website, just to see what it feels like. They're actively looking for feedback.
Which brings us to our final thought.
And it's a big one, a question that's really at the heart of our increasingly automated world. We know connection is vital. We also know that modern life makes us all incredibly busy. So, If an AI can provide that judgment-free emotional support, if it can remember personal details that we humans often forget, and if it can even help slow cognitive decline, does the simulated nature of that relationship matter less than the very real, very positive, and measurable impact it has on a person's well-being?
What does the future of caregiving even look like when technology can so reliably and so endlessly fill the emotional gaps that we as humans simply can't?
Well, I hope our deep dive into Dan's story got you thinking about the power of AI to fight loneliness and bring real connection into people's lives. I hope you'll share it with a friend, maybe who has a parent who needs companionship. Now, if you want more insights like this to everyday friendly AI that is designed for seniors, head over to senioraifoundation.org and register for free for updates. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time with more from the safe Senior AI Friendly Education on the Go. I'm Mike Hayes.